Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Poker Off Kaz and Mouse Hasu here on Lost Temple. Hasu spawned as the red Protoss player over here at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Kaz who spawned over here as the yellow Terran at the 7 o'clock position. So yeah, Terran versus Protoss here on Lost Temple. I'm really looking forward to this 3-game set that I have between these players, and now apparently they're talking a lot to each other, pausing the game, and now just getting underway. So looking at the production tab, we can see pretty much standard openings so far. Kaz most likely will be opening up with the 10 supply. It looks like he's going to be trying to establish a front door. Meanwhile, Hasu now moving out with an early probe and doing some scouting. So instead of trying to continue to get that economically, now going to go ahead and scout out, activating a Xel'Naga Watchtower momentarily. There we go. And now going to run up this ramp and perhaps start harassing the SCV of Kaz. And that will be very, very difficult for the Terran player to really stop. As a Terran player, I really hate it when a probe comes in and starts harassing my SCVs as they're building. It's one of the weaknesses of the Terran player. And now a new SCV now giving chase towards this one probe over here. Probe now just going to wander around on the inside of the space, let those shields recharge. And once those shields recharge, perhaps going to start dealing some damage. The probe may try to, take some damage there, so those probes now taking 5 points of damage and will take some time to recharge. Once again, will the probe go after that SCV? Once again, yes, goes after that SCV, and that SCV may get taken down to 10 hit points. And now once again rebuilding this, we may have this SCV try to repair it so that, on the wrong side, so that SCV will get zapped down, and that is going to be just a hero SC or a hero probe there. So Kaz on the losing end, and Kaz just laughing and at the loss of that one SCV, that Peppy the probe getting 1 kill. And that is always a very, very strong lead, as the Protoss player does not need to use a probe and watch the building being warped in. One of the benefits as a Protoss player, as now Marines being trained up, an SCV going to perhaps wait here, throw down a supply depot, and then deny this probe from coming back in. What a timing change for positioning for that one particular unit. And now this probe trying to deal damage towards the supply depot. Not much will happen there, as now Kaz comes in with this SCV. So economically speaking, you see the harvester difference, 14 versus 19. However, now that Kaz will be able to start using that mule in just a moment in order to call down, it will make up a little bit of that difference between the mining of Hasu and Kaz. Back in this base, we see that there is one gateway with that cybernetics core currently being warped in, and you also see an assimilator now being laid down. So that assimilator being laid down, getting 3 probes on there, and Hasu may be going for some tech build. We'll see if he goes for a robotics facility or void rays. SCV now trying to fight against this probe here. Probe being very, very smart, needs to pull out. Will these Marines be able to split back up? This one probe now down to 9 hit points will be able to perhaps activate this Xel'Naga Watchtower and sit there very comfortably for quite some time. We have 2 Marines now activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower. This Xel'Naga Watchtower, the more important one of the 2, as it lets you know when any Protoss units or any Terran units are trying to leave their base. One Stalker perhaps moving out. And now we should probably get a bunker. No bunker play, as we now have a tech lab being thrown down by Kaz. So Kaz going for a 2 racks build and also getting a refinery. So this indicates to me that Kaz wants to go for Ghost. Ghost are a very, very strong unit, able to get EMP shockwaves off one SCV, getting perhaps a little bit stuck there. And now that Stalker trying to walk up that ramp, taking some damage, however, only taking shield damage, and that Stalker will be able to fully recharge those shields once again. One probe still activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower here. Taking a look, we do see Hasu now having a robotics facility. This robotics facility will be completed in just a moment. And now a second gateway being warped in. We have 1 reactor training up Marauders and getting stim pack as well. And I'm curious, and now we're going into a factory, so it is not going to be ghost play. It is just going to be a barracks with a reactor, also throwing down a bunker here in order to get the additional +1 range. Marines and Marauders making sure that there are no stalkers over here on this low ground, and trying to mass outside his base, making sure that there's also no proxy pylons and for any 2-gate or 3-gate pushes. Back here, we do see another gateway and perhaps another gateway there. One of the benefits about Protoss in using warp-in is that you do not have to leave all your gateways next to each other like you did in StarCraft 1. because all of those warp gates are going to be hotkeyed onto one key, the W key, you can warp in units anywhere where there is pylon power, and that helps out a lot. We now see an observer moving in, so the observer is permanently cloaked, and now out moves this one marauder. This observer, however, will not be spotted for quite some time. There is enough energy on this orbital command to get some spotting down, and now we see a starport currently coming into play. So this may become a marine medic marauder push in just a moment as the stim pack is nearing completion. Another mule now being called down in order to continue to produce more and more units. There is this factory now flying out, making its way out in order to make sure there is no expansion over here. One of the benefits that this factory can do is that factory can actually park itself up here and then try to start creating siege tanks. So I have seen a player try to use siege tanks from this position, just train them up straight here and then cliff your opponent. Reinforcements are very easy to train up as they're right here, not having to worry about any medevacs. Over here, the bunker has been taken down. One observer sitting outside of the space, more marines and marauders, and now Hasu teching up Psystorm. So Psystorm now going to be joining this army of zealots and sentries, and this is the perfect combination to deal with the marine marauder medevac push that will be coming out in just a moment. However, Kaz throwing down a tech lab. So the tech lab indicates that we may get some Ravens out in order to perhaps for some PDD, point defense drones, or to reveal those armies. We do see one medevac out, 4 marauders here, so those marauders do not have that concussive shell just quite yet. And now Zealot charge being researched as well. Psystorm going to be completed as well in just a moment as the medevac now moving out, currently sitting on 77 energy. And will they perhaps try to do any sort of any elevator drop into this location? No, the factory is still sitting here. And this Marine Marauder medevac, Pokerov Kaz, I believe, is a little confused as to what exactly Hasu is doing. Hasu just staying very comfortably within his own base and not doing very much. And now gonna go ahead and now elevator drops straight into this base here, now trying to take down this one pylon. Are we gonna get a feedback? Oh, feedback onto that medevac. The medevac now down to 54 hit points. And now in comes these fight. However, those High Templars getting shot down by those Marauders as soon as that medevac is taken down, however. Oh, quickly being picked up. Will they be able to get a Stalker in position in time? No. Will not be able to. A second feedback? No. No additional feedback will be available. So that medevac down to 13 hit points, able to stay in the game as there was not a feedback in order to take that medevac out of the sky. So nicely done by Kaz. Kaz able to get some damage off, taking down a critical High Templar and almost taking down this pylon here. But that was more of a play to test the waters, see what exactly Hasu was doing. Excuse me. See exactly what Hasu was doing and trying to prepare for the proper counter. We now see a Ghost Academy currently being put down, and now 3 barracks, all with tech labs. So we are researching the Mobius reactor for that Ghost starting energy. Those Ghosts will be able to be trained and get an EMP shockwave out very quickly. One Raven here. The Raven, however, does just outside of sight range on this observer. So that observer now moving out, wanting to make sure, I believe the Raven is now able to spot it. Oh, not able to spot that observer anymore, as these Marines and Marauders may try to jump in to these bunkers here as an orbital command being set up at the natural expansion. A factory once again doing some scouting, and now seeing that Hasu is mining gas off of these 2 additional simulators. So more and more gas means that we will have more Psystorm, more High Templars as these units continue to be trained up. We are getting the amulet upgrade for those High Templars, so those High Templars will be able to warp in with Psystorm just as well. So both players just playing a great game of sim so far, as now Marauders coming onto this high ground and able to deal damage towards this pylon and this assimilator over here. So Pokerov Kaz will be denying this expansion, and now taking down this gas will be absolutely critical, as now Hasu will only be able to run off of 3 gas instead of 4, and he will not be able to get nearly as many High Templars. Down goes that assimilator. We still have this one factory here. Not quite sure why this factory isn't just going to be rooted and then train siege tanks to start laying waste and laying siege onto this natural expansion. We have another pylon being brought into play, as Hasu now trying to get more and more damage dealt, and will he be able to take down any of these stalkers? Quickly being lifted up and then drop back down onto this high ground. So those Marauders and medevacs just really abusing and using these ledges very well. However, an observer now making their way over, trying to get off onto that ledge, and now that Marauder dropping down into play once again. Their observer will be able to spot this Psystorm onto that high ground, and those units being forced to pull back. Stalker is able to take down that medevac, and now these Marauders are pretty much stranded. Will these, yeah, that High Templar now shot down, so overexposing themselves a little bit too much. Will these High Templars be able to get another Psystorm off and perhaps deal damage and deal with this harassment? We do see that Prokhorov Kaz now moving out with the Marine Marauder Ghost army with one medevac in the air, and now throwing down a bunker to slowly push into position. So taking a look at Hasu now does see that this army is inbound, taking down this one pylon here, and one Psystorm dealing a lot of damage towards those units. In come a Ghost, feedback on a Ghost, and we're gonna get another feedback, 2 feedback, and both Ghosts taken down there. So nicely done by Hasu. So Hasu proving that feedback from those High Templars are very effective. However, another Psystorm coming in as well. Are we gonna get one more? Another Psystorm would be absolutely critical, dealing a lot of damage to these very, very low hit point units. Not exactly sure why no Psystorms coming out just quite yet. These Templars now moving out very, very slowly, only a movement speed of 1.88, and able to deal more damage towards these Marauders here. One SCV now perhaps trying to repair this medevac. It has been repaired, and another bunker being thrown down. Army-wise, 2350 versus 2100. We do see a Raven now in the air, and that Raven does have that point defense drone, so we'll be able to drop 2 defense drones here and here, and perhaps deal with these Stalkers and push in very, very easily. There are a lot of Marauders on the low ground. More High Templars now continuing to be warped in, and now more barracks and bunkers being massed. I do not see any additional expansions. We have an SCV and a probe now, not within sight of each other, barely within sight of each other, and we'll be able to see that the other player is trying to, in fact, do an expansion attempt. 1 point defense drone in the air here, perhaps should be placed here in order to protect some more of these Marauders and these Marines. However, now out moves a High Templar. Will that High Templar be able to get off of feedback onto these critical medevacs? That medevac down to has 105 energy. Observer now moving out. Point defense drone, 2 point defense drone in the air, feedbacking that Raven. That Raven did not have that much energy, so not that useful there. As that Zealot charges straight into a concussive shell, we do see that there are now medevacs dropping over here, and these buildings will need to be canceled. However, the main fight over here, Marines and Marauders stimming, taking down more and more of these units here, these bunkers. Obviously immune to Psystorm as they are structures here, as now another supply or another bunker being placed off here, so it will be very difficult for any of these Zealots to just push through. Now we are getting cloaking research on these Ghosts, so those Ghosts will be very difficult to spot, especially if there are impossible to spot if there are no observers whatsoever. More reactors now being laid down, so you can see the number of barracks that are being thrown out by Kaz. However, I do not see an engineering bay, so without an engineering bay, these units are still upgraded at 0-0 or not upgraded at all. We now have Prokhorov Kaz perhaps trying to set up an expansion somewhere, leaving supply depots out across the map, and now moving one command center over here. We still see this factory now taking some damage as well by the Stalker. The Stalker may be able to take down this factory and then stop the production of any additional units. However, now we have Psystorms up on this high ground dealing damage here. Another medevac gonna get caught out of position. There we go. So it is now going to be 2 Stalkers versus 1 Marauder, and that's going to get taken down. However, more medevacs now pushing in over here. Will it be enough? We do have not enough energy for a Psystorm. EMP Shockwave hitting this, but there's now a fresh High Templar sitting here, so this High Templar will be able to drop off. No, it looks like he did a feedback instead of a Psystorm onto this group of units here. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Prokhorov Kaz and Mouse Hasu here on Lost Temple.